The whispers started subtly, a low hum in the back alleys of the internet, the kind of conspiracy theory that usually gets dismissed as tinfoil hat territory. But this one had legs. It wasn't just some random internet troll screaming into the void. This one had witnesses, circumstantial evidence, and now a cosign from the most unpredictable figure in modern music, Kanye West. The claim? Gucci Mane, the trap music icon, the East Atlanta Santa, the man who practically invented the modern mumble rap flow, died in prison and was replaced with a clone. Sounds insane, right? I mean, it's the kind of thing you'd expect to see in a poorly written sci-fi movie, not plastered across social media with mounting evidence. But the more you dig, the more the pieces, however bizarre, start to fit together. It's a rabbit hole paved with blurry photos, conflicting timelines, and the ever-present haze of lean-induced memories. The story begins, as so many modern tragedies do, on Twitter, 2013. Gucci Mane, already a legend in the Atlanta rap scene, but also a notorious loose cannon, unleashed a torrent of unfiltered rage upon the world. No one was safe. Fellow rappers like Yo Gotti, Waka Flocka Flame, T.I., and French Montana were all targets. He accused Nicki Minaj of, well, let's just say he wasn't being complimentary. Angela Yee, the popular radio personality, caught stray bullets. Even his own Brick Squad crew felt the heat of his digital flamethrower. It was messy. It was chaotic. It was Gucci at his most unhinged. He claimed he ran a train on Nicki Minaj and Angela Yee, accused Yo Gotti of biting his style, and essentially burned every bridge he had meticulously built. Looking back, it was like watching a public self-destruction in real time. He even kicked Waka Flocka Flame out of Brick Squad, a move that shocked the entire industry. Waka and Gucci were inseparable, their partnership a cornerstone of the burgeoning trap sound. To see them fracture so publicly was a sign that something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. Then came the arrest. Just weeks after his Twitter meltdown, Gucci was picked up by Atlanta police after reports of him acting erratically, threatening people in traffic. When officers arrived, he allegedly charged at them. They managed to subdue him, finding a firearm and a stash of questionable substances. It wasn't his first brush with the law, not by a long shot. There was the champagne bottle incident in a nightclub, for starters. But this time, the system finally caught up with him. He was sentenced to 3 years and 3 months, ultimately serving 2 thanks to good behavior and time served. It was during this prison stint that the whispers began. The clone rumor started as a low rumble, fueled by grainy photos and speculation. When Gucci emerged from prison, he was different. He was thinner, he was sober, he was calmer. He spoke about his addiction to lean, his regret for his past actions, his commitment to a healthier lifestyle. He apologized to everyone he had wronged, promising a new chapter. It was a remarkable transformation, the kind that usually elicits praise and admiration. But for some, it was just too remarkable, too clean, too sudden. The change was so drastic, it triggered a collective double take. This wasn't just a guy who had lost a few pounds and kicked a bad habit. This felt like something else. And then there was Kesha, his wife, his handler. That's the narrative that quickly took hold. Kesha became the puppet master, the woman behind the curtain, the one pulling the strings of this new, improved, suspiciously reformed Gucci Mane. She controlled his social media, curated his image, and according to some, ensured he remained compliant with whatever dark forces had orchestrated this whole charade. The allegations gained traction. It wasn't just internet conspiracy theorists anymore. People who knew Gucci, who had been in his inner circle, started to speak up. His ex-girlfriend, Mac Breezy, went on record stating that the man who came out of prison wasn't the same man she knew. She claimed something was seriously off about him, that Kesha was overly protective, preventing her from having any real conversations with him. It was as if Kesha was afraid Mac would see through the facade. Then Nicki Minaj entered the fray. Never one to mince words, Nicki publicly blasted Kesha, accusing her of being a social climber desperate for fame, and nothing more than a glorified babysitter whose sole purpose was to keep Gucci sedated. That's a loaded statement. It implied that Gucci wasn't just being managed, he was being controlled, medicated, kept in a perpetual state of docility. Mac Breezy even dropped a song, a desperate plea to release the real Gucci's body. It was a bold, outlandish claim, but the raw emotion in her voice The genuine concern for someone she clearly cared about resonated with many. It added fuel to the fire, turning a flickering conspiracy into a raging inferno. Gucci, of course, denied the allegations. He chalked it up to personal growth, a conscious effort to shed his old skin and embrace a healthier lifestyle. He talked about changing his thinking, his environment, the people he surrounded himself with. Guess that's the transformation everybody's saying they can't believe, he said, but I can believe it. But his denial didn't quell the rumors. If anything, it intensified them. People scrutinized his every move, searching for inconsistencies, for glitches in the matrix. They dissected his lyrics, analyzed his interviews, compared old photos to new ones. The internet became a digital crime scene, with armchair detectives poring over every detail, convinced that they were on the verge of cracking the case. And then Kanye West weighed in. Kanye, the king of controversy, the master of the unexpected, the guy who once declared himself a god, added his voice to the chorus of doubters. He hinted at Gucci being a clone, a manufactured replacement for the original. Now, Kanye has a history of making outlandish claims. He's a provocateur, a performance artist, a man who thrives on pushing boundaries and challenging conventional thinking. But his endorsement of the Gucci clone theory carried weight. He's an industry insider, a cultural icon, a man with access to information that most of us can only dream of. Adding to the intrigue, the rapper Hopsin, also known as Hopsin, once claimed on Instagram Live that he was forced to become a Gucci Mane clone under duress. He painted a bizarre picture of industry elites threatening his family if he didn't comply, presenting him with a Gucci suit and essentially demanding he become a replacement. At the time, it was dismissed as a publicity stunt, a desperate attempt to capitalize on a trending conspiracy. But with Kanye's recent comments, Hopsin's claims suddenly seemed a lot more credible, a lot more sinister. The evidence, if you can call it that, is circumstantial, fragmented, and often contradictory. But the sheer volume of it, the persistence of the rumors, the high-profile endorsements, it's hard to dismiss it all as mere coincidence. People point to his eyes, claiming they're a different color, that he always wears shades to hide the truth. They highlight subtle changes in his facial features, attributing them to plastic surgery, a desperate attempt to replicate the original Gucci's appearance. They question his music, arguing that it lacks the raw energy, the unbridled passion of his earlier work. The internet dissected side-by-side photos, highlighting minute differences in ear shape, jawlines, even the placement of his tattoo. It became an obsession, a digital witch hunt fueled by paranoia and a deep-seated distrust of the powers that be. Were we witnessing a genuine transformation, a testament to the power of rehabilitation, or were we being gaslit on a global scale, forced to accept a counterfeit version of a beloved icon? The truth, as always, is elusive. There's no smoking gun, no definitive proof to definitively confirm or deny the clone theory. What we have are whispers, allegations, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. It's easy to dismiss it all as nonsense, to laugh it off as the ramblings of conspiracy theorists. But the sheer volume of speculation, the number of people who genuinely believe something is amiss, is hard to ignore, and the implications are terrifying. If the Gucci Mane clone theory is true, what does that say about the music industry? About the entertainment industry as a whole? About our society's obsession with fame and celebrity? It suggests a level of control and manipulation that is both shocking and deeply disturbing. It implies that our idols are not who we think they are, that they are merely puppets dancing on strings controlled by shadowy figures behind the scenes. Think about the TV show The Boys and the character Noir. A hero dies only to be replaced by another person in the suit. The public is none the wiser. This situation feels eerily similar. The Damar Hamlin situation adds another layer of complexity to the discussion. The NFL player collapsing on the field, the subsequent speculation about his identity, his behavior, it all feeds into the same paranoia, the same suspicion that something is not right. Maybe it's all just a coincidence. Maybe we're all just projecting our fears and anxieties onto these public figures. But maybe, just maybe, there's something more to it. Maybe the truth is out there, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered. The thought that someone could be replaced, their identity stolen, their life hijacked, is a chilling one. It speaks to a deep-seated fear of losing control, of being manipulated, of being reduced to a pawn in someone else's game. So what do we make of all this? Is Gucci Mane a clone? Is Kesha his handler? Is Kanye West just stirring the pot? Or is there a deeper, darker truth lurking beneath the surface? The answer, for now, remains a mystery. But the questions are worth asking, the conversation is worth having. Because even if the Gucci Mane clone theory is just a conspiracy, it speaks to a very real and very relevant anxiety about the nature of reality, the power of the elite, and the erosion of trust in our institutions. And that, in itself, is worth paying attention to.